Hi, I'm Vicki Westling here with City Speaks. City Speaks is a show that's brought to you by Mayor Rosas and his administration. It's brought to you, the residents, to let you know what's going on in our area, to let you know what's going on at City Hall, and to find out what's happening in our world, in our immediate world. And today we're very fortunate to have our newly elected or newly appointed Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel with us. And one of the reasons that we brought Executive Wendel here is because we want to get to know him better up here in the North County. We want to know what's going on, and we want to know, how do you bring the South to the North, and what are you going to do for the city of Dunkirk?
Well, there's a lot of things. You know, one of the I spoke out first at the Small Business Revolution in Fredonia, and I spoke to it, and we've always said this, coming from the south part of the county, was, where's the Mason-Dixon line? There is no divider in the county, in my opinion. And there's always been this talk of a north-south divide. So my goal is to, kind of break that down and bring everybody together. I think what a better way to encourage that collaboration is, one, the Small Business Revolution and what Fredonia is able to bring if they are successful.
And now we'll know when, next Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yes. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I'm going to be at the NISAC conference in Albany, so I have things set up that as soon as the announcement's made, I'm going to be sending a video. But I've been an athlete all my life, and I'm very superstitious. I don't want to jinx anything. So once the announcement's made, I will send a video. I don't want to do that beforehand, thinking I might, jinx our opportunity. But what a great way, to show collaboration. And everybody, my son came home, and he's at Southwestern Middle School, and they were involved in it, and the whole county really got behind them. And the neat thing about this is, not only does Fredonia have an opportunity, but now the town of Carroll's entered into an HGTV contest, and so is the city of Jamestown. So again, the rallying we did behind Fredonia, I want everybody to rally again with the other communities. But collaboration is really, and shared services is really a hallmark, and something I'm going to move forward. I know we started, the state put out an initiative in 2017, and I want to keep that moving forward. I've been a volunteer fireman for 31 years, and mutual aid and shared services is something I've worked with my entire career there. And anybody in the fire service will tell you that's really how we operate. So, I come from a background where I understand that collaboration, and now, I don't want to say there's barriers, but like you said, getting the South to the North and the North to the South, and getting everybody to work together is something that I'm really going to be focused on.
Well, we're really excited about this thing that's happening in Fredonia. I mean, I think this is great, and so many of Dunkirk residents are behind it as well. Of course, now this show will air after we hear the news, so make sure when you send that video that you send it to Dunkirk Access, because we want to share that too.
I will get that.
So we'll make sure that Okay, we'll make sure we get that. We get that as well. And and collaboration is the key. And one of the things that has been taking place within our area, certainly with Mayor Rosas and your predecessor, certainly Executive Barillo, who's now our New York State Senator, and Kathy Young. So there really has been a great deal of collaboration. There's been a lot that has gone on. And of course, here in the North County, like anywhere else, here in Dunkirk, we're looking at our streets, at our infrastructure, at our roads. And we'd like to be able, and the mayor has done some work with the county. Certainly there's been some shared services. What are your plans? How can you help to facilitate more shared services with the county and with the city of Dunkirk?
Well, one of the things that I've been part of that goes back on, again, that area that I've had a little bit more expertise outside of teaching has been the fire service. So about a year or so ago, I was asked to sit down and mediate some meetings with the paid fire service here in Dunkirk, with Chief Edwards, the Dunkirk Fire Department, along with Fredonia and Jamestown City Fire, and collaboration there. So again, getting my feet wet in an area that I'm very familiar with, but also working with Chief Edwards, now moving that to the city and looking ways we can share services. The county has a myriad of pieces of equipment, a lot of expertise, a lot of engineers we can share and get those ideas. And if Mayor Rosas has an idea, then by all means, let's come down and sit down and talk about it. Everybody in the city of Dunkirk is lives in the county, so it's our job, my job, to make sure that those collaborative efforts are moving forward. They've done a great deal already with Lake Erie, with Dunkirk Harbor. Met with Senator Schumer's representative this week. I can't thank them enough for what they've done, but what a great thing for the Dunkirk Harbor. There was some damage to the break wall. We want to make sure we get that fixed and move forward. But I think the interesting piece about this is, with our federal representatives and now with our state representatives and Senator Barillo, he and I have known each other for 8 years, so we talk almost daily at this point, and
Sure.
we really had a great collaboration. So everything that anything he has started, we're going to continue with. But I like to sit down here with Mayor Rosas and look for his, where we can help, and that's the idea behind the county. Is we're here to help everybody.
Right, and you mentioned the equipment, and certainly equipment cost is a huge thing. And for every city or every municipality everyone to have their own trencher or their own paver or their own whatever, if we could have an area where that we can have that equipment available to us, certainly would save money for the city and save money for all the taxpayers, because we all have a piece of this pie.
Certainly, what people don't realize is your DPW, your DPF, whatever the village or town decides to call it. Those pieces of equipment are huge. They are expensive.
Right.
And, for the most part, towns and villages and cities try to maintain those pieces of equipment and use them until their very last day. And then when that happens, you've got a big capital improvement project you have to do to purchase equipment. So, as we work together, we want to make sure at the county level we have those pieces of equipment that we can loan out, along with our staff and our crew, to help the neighboring communities and municipalities. What I really like is, we have, Mayor Rosas is in second term.
Yes.
For the city, so there's a collaboration that's already begun with the county. There's a new administration in Jamestown. So the city's again reaching out to the county and asking, and how do we work together? Not so much asking for help, but just really sitting down and making each other, helping each other. It's not an asking situation, but let's just work together and get things forward. And I'm excited to work with Mayor Rosas. I haven't worked with him much as a county legislator, but just looking excited to see what we can do for them in the future.
Right. Well, he's really out there. He's really always pushing for the city and pushing for the county as well. So that's great. Now, one of the things that one of the challenges that you have, of course, although you've been in the legislature for a while in the county, but a lot of people don't know who you are. Tell me a little bit about your legislative experience and about who you are. Who is PJ Wendel?
That's not. It's a challenging question. Not a challenge. I guess it's. I guess I'm like a book. There's a lot of chapters to that. I relocated here with our family. Many years ago, over 40 years ago now. With my dad moved with Cummins Engine. So, having said that, I understand the need and the reasoning and how vital a big industry is. What I'm going to refer to as macroeconomic development. We could bring those large companies like we have in the Phoenix. It's a great project. So I'm a child of relocation for a bigger industry coming in. But having said that, I graduated from Southwestern, and I was an athlete my entire career since I started wrestling when I was in second grade. So that to me, and that sport itself has brought a tenacity, it's brought a determination and a work ethic that's really second to none. I went on to college and came back home because that's where I wanted to come back. I'm really excited about this area, and I've always had some great things that to look forward to. But having said that, as recently as 2016, I was still an active competitor. I traveled to Europe. I was a silver medalist in the Celtic Federation European Championships. So my competitors were in their 20s. I was 45. I was the first American to medal, first American to wrestle for the gold medal, although I wasn't successful. Came back the next year and challenged again, and again came away with 2 silver medals. So I think when I look at it, my background as an athlete brings forth a tenacity and a determination and a drive that really has spurred me along with this this endeavor. First started the fire service in Lakewood, there was a concern that maybe there was going to be a budget cut, and we all decided, hey, maybe we need to get somebody from the fire department on the village board. So I sat down with then the late Tony Caprino, longtime mayor of the village of Lakewood, and he and I had already had a great relationship. And he kind of brought me along, and that's where my career started in government, was with the village of Lakewood. And some things opened up, and one of the first times I met George Borrello as a legislator then was a question I posed to then Assemblyman Parman. And I kind of raised the eyebrows, says, wow, he just, and it was a challenging question, but
sure.
They kind of were excited about it. And moving forward, I thought if I wanted to go anywhere in this, getting out to the county was really what I needed to do. So I did. Spent 2 years as a legislator, and not long after that was the assistant majority leader, then rose to majority leader, and then for the last 2 years I was a chairman. So my experience, I've always taken advantage of opportunities, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but if the door opens,
sure.
I'm willing to walk in and accept the challenge. So Having said that, I've worked with, I co-chaired, at the time it's working, asked me to co-chair Community Justice Coordinating Council.
Wow.
So I stepped right in, and that's where it started. And it was I got outside of that box of just a legislator and started to take on leadership roles. And that's always been me. I'm one to take on a challenge. If you look back at 45, to step on a mat and travel halfway around the world to compete in a sport I've never competed in,
and to come and wear the silver medal.
It was a plus. I was excited, but that's kind of spawned another path. My brother right now is in Saudi Arabia. Actually, we're part of what they call UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Social, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And I've traveled to Mexico as a cultural liaison between sporting communities. So. Great deal of experience down there, just a massive amount. But I bring that piece of cultural diversity and diversity as a person, as a former teacher and a coach and a parent and, active in my community, active in my church, and all these things I bring together working with police and fire. There's just a lot to me. It's a big book.
Well, of course, you mentioned diversity, and this is a very diverse county, and certainly very diverse here in the North County and in Dunkirk. We have a large minority population here, so and there are a lot of issues, a lot of challenges that come with that. So we need to take advantage of your experience and how you deal with those things. Tell me a little bit. You've got, you're here now. You were appointed by your fellow legislators, if you will, and you're here for this year. Then you run for the remainder of the term, and then if elected, then you run for the full term. What is your vision for the county, and how does that vision impact the North County and certainly the city of Dunkirk?
Well, one of the things I'm looking to do is, we looked at it at three. I talked today with our RDA director, Mark Ice, and I'm approaching it in three layers or three levels. And first, I just mentioned it earlier, was macroeconomic development. How do we bring the big business like Athenex and always have those things ready? Looking at different sites. Philbrook Farms just made a big investment here in the North County, and that was big. Continuing those opportunities, repurposing of the NRG building, making sure that's going to be getting back on the tax rolls and providing some stability for the city of Dunkirk. But looking around at these opportunities we have and making sure that we're ready, that if somebody comes in, in the case of Athenex, we're ready to go, we have the infrastructure, we have these things established, and so it's really not that much of a creation, really. They're just going to kind of fit into the mold we already have. The next part that I really like and I'm excited about is what I consider microeconomic development, and that is, instead of one business with 500 employees, can we get 5 businesses with 100 employees? I know the hard seltzer factory is looking to come into the North County. Whatever we can do as far as great production. I've got a good friend that's been working with the apple growers and doing hard cider. So those opportunities and utilizing spaces we have, and it's not just looking everything in the South County because of whatever beliefs people have, is looking at Chautauqua County as a whole, and there's a lot of economic opportunities here in the North County. Things that have been here and maybe left, repurposing buildings, repurposing facilities, that's really going to be my goal. And last, the third part we look at it is existing economic growth. And people would say, well, if it's existing, how do you grow it? And that's just it, looking at our businesses that are here and how do we sustain their growth? How do we get them bigger? How do we help them take that next step? If they're kind of teetering, is it a low interest loan? Is it relocating to a bigger facility? Those are the types of things I want to do. And there's so many places here in Dunkirk that are available, and we want to utilize all of that space.
Right. Well, and there are, and that's one of the things that you mentioned, Philbrook Foods, that that facility just a couple of years ago, they were thinking about, do we stay or do we move? And it was because of the collaboration, working together with Governor Cuomo really was very supportive in that effort, and Mayor Rosas, and they all got together, they worked together. We kept Philbrook here. They've now added, at that time they added more employees, they're still adding more employees, they're still expanding, and as a result of that, Krog Industries came and brought the cold storage warehouse. So we have, and that's what you're talking about when you talk about the micro economic point of view. So those things are happening, and that's great. So I'm glad to hear you say that you want to bring more, because we have some shovel-ready properties here. Yeah, and that's what we need to capitalize on. Those are the pieces where in the past, and it wasn't any one administration, it's just, people said, well, I went to SUNY Brockport, and if you travel along that in the 89, 90, that area from Batavia, east to Rochester, the Brockport exit was a little desolate.
if you travel that area now, it's huge. It's those shovel-ready sites. There's a Dick's, there's a Target, there's development on both sides of I-90.
Right.
And those are the ideas that we want to bring back here. Peter Krogh is very familiar with the South County. We want to bring them to North County and get them up here and start investing. Chris Locarata in Empire State Brands is huge. So again, he's looking at some property up here in the North County and reusing the building. So those excitements are really building in Chautauqua County. But again, it's a countywide system. It's not just just focusing on one area, but just getting everybody here.
Now, you had mentioned earlier, you talked about the damage that was done during this storm, the Halloween storm along Lake Erie, and I know Senator Schumer has been working on that. The previous county executive, Barillo, was working with us on that. So you're going to continue to carry that mantle. Sure. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Tell me, is there anything more that you have done, like in the short term, that you think that maybe spark some initiative or spark some kind of energy?
Well, you know what? Right now, surprisingly enough, there's we're looking at some safety issues. There's been a couple of situations that have arisen at the county that we're going to focus on safety. That's been my forte, is really moving forward. But one of the things that I was really excited to working with then Executive Barella was the Ripley Welcome Center, or the Gateway Center. There's a couple different terms that have been used. Right. But, when you travel on I-90 and you move into the Great Empire State, there's really nothing there to welcome people. And the concept that has been developed so far of a large barn / large lighthouse facility, and then adjacent to that a lighthouse with a staircase that's lit, glass enclosure, and now that's a silo / lighthouse, and just be able to get in there, and that welcome center to open up to local artisans, to get different community groups in there, but to have a gateway and something to show New York State and people that are coming in saying, welcome, this is our state, and this is, we are the welcome point from the West, when people come in, and that's what we want to really capitalize on. It's an initiative that, then County Executive Barello started, now Senator Barello, and it's something that I'm going to champion and move forward. It's really an exciting endeavor. If you travel down, what they used was, the Tamarack site in West Virginia, and how that's really known by everybody that travels south, back to your native state, Florida. That's the big stop. Once you get there, it's kind of like a meeting point. Are we close to home, or how far along are we? But to get that back and get something like that in Ripley area or Westfield, depending on where the opportunity arises, but to get that going and really get it.
Well, of course, and one of the things that we have going for us here, and we have many things going for us here in the city of Dunkirk, but one of the things we have going for us is that with our summertime festivals and our waterfront and the boat races, and we have now, because of our Hector Rosas, our special events coordinator, we're now part of the I Love New York campaign. So that's really great, and that really works for us as well. So it's those kinds of things that will help to bring, where people come in to Ripley. We also have this advantage here in Dunkirk as well. So that's pretty important. One of the things that Executive Barillo, now Senator Barillo, and I have a hard time not calling him George, because everybody knows George forever. One of the things that he made sure that he visited all the different places. And so now, do you have any plans to pick up on that and to go to all the towns? And I think that his predecessor, Vince Horgan, was doing a breakfast in every city, and I know that's a lot, because you've got a lot on your plate. But what are your plans to do something like that?
Well, my plans are really to get out amongst the community and get up here into the North County. I've got a lot of friends and people I've worked with. My daughter played soccer here with Concord Soccer Club, so I have some fans up here. Friends, I guess you would say, fans. But some people I've worked with, Alex Conti and I, the longtime wrestling coach, Olympic wrestling coach from Fredonia. He and I have known each other for a long time. So, just touching base with those, friends, and, getting and networking amongst people I know, former Chief Myers, Chief Orlano here, Fire Chief Walker and Chief Edwards here. So, utilizing my ties, but getting out to meet the people of the community. My wife was excited, and she said, we do a Saturday morning or Sunday morning breakfast back in Lakewood, the same little diner, and she goes, "This is going to be great. Now we can start to visit." So that's my goal, is to go out and do a Saturday or Sunday morning breakfast. Just stop into a local establishment, not as a fanfare of County Executive Wendel's here, but just, PJ and his wife are going to come out and have breakfast and sit down and talk to people and get to know the people of this area. But just, what are the concerns and what are the things they want to share? I'm a very approachable person, although people say, oh, your size and stature might be a little intimidating, but to me, once you get to know me, it really isn't.
Right.
But I really want to get out and get to the events and be seen here. But I want it to be seen as this is me. This isn't running for a campaign for the next 2 years. This is the person I am. I want to be seen. I've said the same thing to our employees. I want to be out visiting the areas. I want to be visiting the towns and the villages, sitting down, listening to their concerns. Congressman Reed does it. Senator Borrello is going to do it as Kathy Young did, and that's just our goal. That's my goal, is to get out and see people know who I am, so when they pick up the phone, they know who they're talking to if they have a question or an issue or if they need help. In fact, we got a call with a situation up in Sunset Bay, so the town highway supervisor called me, and I reached out to our legislator there, and we had some discussion and got things moving. But that's what I want. I want people to know who I am and that I'm approachable, that I'm willing to take on any challenge and listen to any concerns people have. But just getting around and really getting to be the norm, an average person. I'm not county executive, but yes, I'm still a person that just likes to get out and enjoy the opportunities. Enjoy the festivals and the experience that we bring here in Chautauqua County.
Right. Well, I know it's going to be a very busy time for you. I know that you're going to have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
It's not going to take long before you have to go back into campaign mode, and I appreciate the fact that you really want people to see you out in the restaurants, not as county executive running for re-election, but as PJ, and so I think that's very good, and more people need to do that. Do you have one or two major priorities that you're going to be dealing with that you feel are going to that you want to make sure you get those done before the next time frame starts with your new campaign?
One of the biggest things that we have now is a governor's budget is really a daunting task, and there's some concerns. We're going to meet at NISEC next week with the county executives across New York State and be able to sit down and kind of decipher and help us better understand the budget, because it's going to impact everybody here in Chautauqua County, no doubt about it. And we want to make sure that local share or that local impact is as low as possible. We've done great work at the county as far as reducing our workforce and making sure we are kind of right-sizing county government. So we're going to continue with that. One of the things I really was excited about is then County Executive Borrello's 100 businesses in 100 days. So what I've done, and I've told everybody, I sat down with our Cornell Cooperative Extension, and I have a meeting set up with Daniel DeMart. I've got 25 years in education that I want to start coupling my experiences and my connections with superintendents and principals. Definitely want to get up to the P-TECH Academy and start to really see what that's all about. I've heard about it, get involved a little bit more now. Right. And what I'm really concerned about is workforce readiness. And as Senator Borrello got out and determined, it is a hard thing.
Forgive us, Senator Borrello.
But he's been a good friend of mine since I've actually one of the closest friends I've had in the legislature.
Sure.
But to capitalize on what we've done and now utilize that experience I have in education and try to kind of move that forward. I was talking yesterday with Emily Reynolds from Cornell Cooperative Extension, and now with the expansion of Philbrook in Dunkirk, we have a large agricultural community here in Chautauqua County. So can we do what Penn State did, and can JCC start to pull in these agricultural classes, and now can we have an ice cream or dairy development, and now can we maybe form a small lab inside of Philbrook and look to see what these students can do as far as maybe developing an ice cream or a new technique in some sort of production. We have the grape vineyards that are huge. Again, utilizing that experience of our local growers and the what I call the grassroots knowledge of what we have, and start to expand that. JCC has really been doing a great number of things in the last year under President DeMart, and I want to continue to see that grow. But I want to make sure that those individuals, and I've sat in graduations over the last 20 years and said they're ready to enter the workforce. Well, how ready are they? And I want to make sure that as an educator, former educator, now county executive, that they're ready. That I know that they have the training, they have the experience. So when these companies come in, like Athenex has said, what's your workforce like? Are you ready? Yeah, we are ready. We have agriculture, we have technology, we have science. So we're really moving forward.
Right. And I encourage you to visit our Erie BOCES 2 P-TECH here in Dunkirk. We actually had City Speaks there. We went on site, and it was phenomenal. I mean, what these young people are doing is just amazing. And of course, we've had Dr. DeMart here as well. So JCC is really there. He's really invested into the community. P-TECH is, and these kids are eager. These young people who are coming out of school and going into college, and they want to get involved. And of course, the Phoenix is going to be needing some very specialized expertise. So I encourage you to go visit them.
I'm excited. I haven't had a formal invitation, but I know a lot of people that have been involved. Legislator Starks has told me, you got to get up here. So that is one of the next steps. As when I first got in 3 weeks, most everybody had a 2-month transition, and you get elected, and now you have your time to move and move forward. On January 2nd at 4 p.m. I was sworn in, and at 4:05 p.m. I was the county executive. So, although I knew everybody, like you said, with 8 years on the legislature, it was getting those people in my office and sitting down and what have we accomplished, where are their goals, where are their visions, and now moving forward. So now my next plan is now to get out amongst the communities and the businesses and getting out, much like Senator Borrello did as a county executive, but reaching and shaking hands with the CEO, the operators, the plant managers, the employees, and looking around and really getting a taste for what's there. But the P-TECH Academy is exciting, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think in New York State, we often look at there's one form of an educational model, but I think realistically, educators know, and our superintendents and administrators know that there's other models we can use maintaining that educational framework in New York State, but really to expand and advance our students, because not every kid is college ready.
That's right, absolutely.
We need to make sure those opportunities for those kids who, they want to dabble in something before they decide to make a career or go back to college and extend their education. Right. So I think that's important to, give them the opportunities, as many opportunities as possible. With technology, kids can go online and see a myriad of opportunities for them. And I want to make sure that we have those opportunities ready. So the workforce we have here in Chautauqua County is ready and willing for whoever comes in. We're ready to step up.
And this area here in Dunkirk is really growing. They really have a lot happening, certainly with the cold storage warehouse will be hiring. Philbrook Foods is going to be hiring. We just had Farrell Roofing on a couple of weeks ago, and they're looking for people. So this area is moving. There are things going on here that people think, well, maybe nothing's happening, but it really is. And so it's really wonderful to hear all of your enthusiasm and to know that you're really, you're ready to get out and roll your shirt sleeves up, so to speak, and get going. So thank you. Is there anything that I haven't covered that you think that we should be covering today that you want the people to know?
Well, I think, I think just that is, the doors are open in my office, and, the phones are always there. My secretary does a great job of conveying things to me. But when people have questions, I'm a face-to-face person. Texting, this new generation, they can look at to me, you could, anything, you type the wrong word, your message is really, kind of misconstrued or, can create an issue. But as you know, I'm not at any ability not to have conversations, so I want to sit down with people. I want to have a face-to-face conversation. Even those hard conversations that maybe, questioning me and what I've done, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm very approachable, and I want people to understand that if you have a question, you have a concern, or you have an idea, let's sit down. Because, a lot of times what sounds simple to people is simple, and sometimes when they think it's complex, we can really make it simple. And that's the thing that, there's a lot of facets to county government, and there's a lot of, not only county government, just the connections you have, that I have in the community and with people and friends and people I've collaborated with over the years. So that's what I want people to realize is, I'm not just an athlete, I'm not just a teacher, I'm not just a county executive, is that, I'm approachable, I'm a person who really does want to do that. I grew up in a blue-collar family that, built a, it's kind of funny, we built a log cabin, my brothers and I, our family built a log cabin, log by log, pre-cut. It was a little easier than the old days, but I think it's something I look back on is, we created that, that house and built it log by log, and that's the type of person I am. I'm going to be out there, rolling up my sleeves, and I'd love to work side by side with somebody if they have a project going on, and just show people who I am, and really get to know me, the person.
Well, be careful what you wish for. You say working side by side.
It's okay. I'm ready for the challenge. We just rolled out the tarp skunks, and I was right there next to the skunk, and so I'm ready. I'm ready to take on anything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. City Speaks is here for the residents. It's for those in the area. You can watch City Speaks anytime on Dunkirk Access. Go to YouTube. It's there. You can watch any of the previous shows as well. Go to Spectrum 1301 in Dunkirk. Catch it 3 and 10 in the afternoons. let us know what you think. Let us know what you like. Send an email. Send a snail mail. vwestling@cityofdunkirk.com. Vicki Westling, 342 Central Avenue, Dunkirk 14048. We're here for you. That's what City Speaks is all about. It's here for Mayor Boce's administration. So thank you. Thank you for watching City Speaks, and have a great day.
Have a great day.